We've been talking about the Kentucky Derby for some time, ad nauseum almost. Well, we're one day out. It's time to decide what horses we're going to bet on and pick our wagers, pick a spot. Let's go.
Trust the Profits is proud to be sponsored by Game of Silks. Go to silks.io to get in the game. Real ownership, real races, real rewards.
Sure bet coffee.
Hey, welcome in. This is Riders Up Tim. You can find me on the app X at Riders Up Tim. I just wanted to make a quick video. We've been talking for some time here on the channel. We've been going through spotlighting each of the horses in the Derby. We had a little roundtable discussion discussing the pros and cons of each horse. But I just wanted to make a video and talk about how I plan to approach the race itself. Before I get into it, I just a quick shout out to our sponsors, Game of Silks, Real Ownership, Real Races, Real Rewards. If you haven't looked at this yet, I mean, the Kentucky Derby is a real thing. When it says real races and real rewards, there are people who have a virtual copy of the horses that are in the Kentucky Derby. And if their horse wins, they look to profit substantially from this. So you should really check out Game of Silks. I know that here at Trust the Profits, we have started our own stable. We don't have any of the horses running this year. But we've got some 2-year-olds and we're hopeful looking into next year. More to that to follow. But one more quick shout out, Sure Bet Coffee. If you have not checked them out, they're definitely worth a check. I'm more of a espresso drinker myself, but they have an espresso blend that I really like. And you can check them out on their website there at surebetcoffee.com. Use the promo code TTP20 all the way up to the Belmont Stakes for 20% off. Give them a try. And here's the best thing. If you're watching this, you're probably a horse player. They give a portion of every sale back to Thoroughbred Aftercare. Who doesn't like that? All right. With that being said, let's jump in. So you see, I've got my Kentucky Derby picks up here. Look, it's a 20-horse field. There are a lot of good horses in here. I'm going to talk about just a handful here. So I've got basically 6 horses I'm going to concentrate on in the way that I plan to approach this. I've poured over the field just like I'm sure many of you have. I've gone through the pros and cons of how I plan to approach this. If you followed the way that I bet, looked at any of the videos that we've done here on the channel, followed us in the cocktail lounge, I'm pretty much one of those people who I'm going to take my picks and bet them heavy and not try to spread too thin. If I'm going to hit, I'm going to hit and try to hit well. And if I'm going to miss, I'm going to miss. And you know, you're more often than not, as many of you know, you're going to miss more often than you hit. But we're hoping here in the Kentucky Derby, we're going to get a pretty good hit. So let's just talk about the field here. Obviously, you see the top line there, and probably many of you are ready to click the button and hit stop and stop watching right now. But look, if you follow me and you follow the channel and you know what I am not a chalk player as far as playing the favorite on top, especially in big races like this. I'm just not that guy. That being said, if you look at the speed figures coming into this race, if you look at the performances, yes, this horse has his knocks. I get it. This horse has a lot of things that if you want, just like with every other horse in the race, you can find a reason not to like this horse. But when it comes to the Kentucky Derby, I'm not a favorite player, but I think this is the year. I think this is the year that Todd Pletcher, Mike Rapoli, they get their horse. Last year, we all know what happened with Forte. We all know what happened in the past with Mo Donegal. It's like, I think this is their year. I really do. I think this horse is head and shoulders above the rest. Yes, I get it. There are those of you who are going to see the AB cycle. And if this horse doesn't get the clean trip, whatever you want to throw at it, I see that. I understand. But I just think that if you look at the rest of the field, this is not one of those Derby fields to where you've got multiple contenders to where everybody's wondering, they're all neck and neck. I just think this is a standout horse, and it is my top pick in the Derby. I am going to play Fierceness on top. When I look underneath that horse for my exactas and my tries, I've got a trio of horses that I'm really look at. I think this race really sets up for the closers. I think you've got horses like Door coming out of the one post position that has to go for the lead. I think you've got a horse in Track Phantom in the 12 post, a post position that's right up the middle that really is a great post to get out early. You add blinkers on this horse. I don't care what the connections are saying about what they might do. This horse gets out of the gate well, and I think you're not going to hold him back. You're going to let him go, and I think that's another horse that's going to be on the speed. When you get past those two, I know that a lot of people are looking at TO Password. It's a real wild card in here. People are looking at the horse. I don't know what it's going to do. The connections say they might rate it. I'm not buying any of that. I'm full in on the fact that this horse is going to the lead. When I look at the rest of them, I see Just a Touch as another horse that is a potential horse that is going to want to go out for the lead or just off the lead. So that's another horse that I think is going to be right there on the lead. So I just think that there is a lot of early speed in this race. And I think that that tells me that the race itself, if you look at the history of the Derby, if you've got really good speed, if you've got a halftime less than 46, it is setting up for closers. And I think that the strongest horses in this race, when you get past Fierceness, are closers. So I do think that Fierceness does have some speed. He's outside. That's going to enable them to get a nice clean trip. I really believe that they're going to put the horse in a position just off of the other horses I just mentioned that are going to be on the speed. A lot of people say this horse needs to be on the lead. I don't buy that. If you look at what Fierceness did in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he was second early on in that race. I think the horse can rate off the early speed a little bit. And while he is a speed horse, he does not need the lead. So I think he's going to be just behind that, just waiting for an opportunity to pounce. I think Johnny V is going to get this horse in a great position. But I do believe that the rest of the race sets up for the closers. And when you look at the closers, you see that I've got a group of horses here that I really like. And I'm going to go inside, and this is in no particular order, but I've got Catching Freedom, the 4-horse. This is a horse who has continued. I've loved this horse all year long. It's a horse who I think has continued to get better. That race in the Louisiana Derby that closed, the speed figure, if you look, this horse has improved his speed figures every race out. So 5 races, 5 improvements, improving every race out. This horse, I think he's in for another improvement. I love Flavien Prat. I think Prat is one of the best riders and most underrated riders in the nation. When he and Cox get together, they do very well. They're hitting at Churchill at about 33%. I just love this combination. I love Prat on this horse. I love Catching Freedom coming late. So this is a horse underneath for me that is a must play. Another horse, if you saw my spotlight video, I really like Honor Marie. I know a lot of people are on this horse. It's the so-called wise guy horse. If you look at that race that I just talked about in the Louisiana Derby with Catching Freedom, Honor Marie is another horse that was right there. And that was a huge step forward for that horse. You can look and say that the Risen Star wasn't a great race, but the horse was coming off a layoff and it was in the slop. And I'm not sure that the horse liked that slop. Yes, I know a lot of people are looking at the forecast here in Louisville and thinking it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the slop. I live here in the area. I'm telling you, this is the Ohio Valley, and the forecast changed a lot. I think we're going to get wet tracks on Friday. I think that the rain is done by Saturday morning, and by the time this race rolls around, if it's good, that'll be as wet as it is. But I think we could potentially still have a fast track by Derby time on Saturday. So I don't think that's an issue. I'm a big fan of Ben Curtis. This is a guy who has regularly ridden in big fields. I think he knows how to put a horse like Honor Marie in a position to where the big field is not going to bother this horse. So that's another horse that I think is going to be closing well, and you have to consider underneath in your exact and trifecta plays. The last horse I'm going to play is the wild card. It's a Japanese horse. If you know and you've listened to me, this is another thing. I am not on the Japanese horses. I am a big opponent of the way that the Japanese prep for the Triple Crown races coming in from the UAE Derby. I don't think that's what they should be doing. UAE Derby winners are over 18 in the Derby. I get it. And that's why I think this horse doesn't win. But much like last year, I think that you have to consider this horse. He's 5 for 5. He's done nothing wrong. That close on the mile that he did on Bookham Dano, that was impressive. And that was a distance. That was a one-turn mile in the Saudi Derby that this horse really probably that's not his preference. And if you watch that race, you think there's no way this horse gets up. It's like push a button, go. Forever Young has the ability to get up for a piece of the trifecta, and he's going to be on my ticket. A couple of others that I'm going to play further underneath, a couple of horses. Sierra Young, this might surprise some of you because I know this horse in the morning line is the second favorite. It's a horse a lot of people are all over, but I'm going to tell you my perspective and why I'm playing him outside the trifecta primarily. And that is, I was there for the Bluegrass. If you look at those numbers, all the way up to the that mile almost until they hit the stretch, it's all red numbers. They were absolutely flying. They were absolutely flying. So it's set up for a horse like Sierra Leone to close. And the numbers coming home were not good. Look, I get it. This is a horse that's only been beaten once out by Dornoch, and that was a nose, and Sierra Leone put a nose in front and just didn't finish up. I get what everybody sees, but I also see something different in the Bluegrass that I just don't think that this horse is going to move forward off of that in a way that a lot of people do. I don't think that Bluegrass is as good as a lot of people think it was. And that is why horses like Just a Touch that a lot of people are all over, not on my ticket. I think that horse had every reason to be able to do better in that race and just didn't. So I'm not even including that horse. But back to Sierra Leone, look, great horse, Chad Brown, Tyler Gaffleone. I know Tyler is high on this horse. He thinks it's the best Derby opportunity he's had. I get all of that. He's a great rider at Churchill, regular leading rider at Churchill. And there's no doubt that this horse could be a part. I may be completely wrong. This horse could even win the race. I get that. But from what I see, I'm going to play against. So the last horse I'm going to include in my wagers here is Just Steel. This is the most experienced horse in the race. If you look at the horse, this is for the coach, gets Keith Asmussen up. When Keith got on this horse last time out in Arkansas Derby, I really think this horse took a step forward. If you look, that speed figure, the 95 Beyer speed figure that Just Steel got in the Arkansas Derby was the best race that this horse has put up by far. That was a really good closing finish to Muth, a horse a lot of people think that could be one of the top couple of favorites in this race. Did that, finished second at 32-1. I just think that this is a horse. It's one of those horses who in 11 races has 7 finishes in the money. It's got Dwayne Lucas, the coach up. How do you keep this horse out of your exotic plays, out of your superfecta plays? I think this is a must include in your superfectas. It's just one of those hardworking horses that just always seems to be there. So those are the horses I'm looking at. If you're wondering how I plan to play them, here you go. This is what I plan to play. So I'm just going to put everything here for dollar increments. I'm not saying how much I'm going to play or not, just so you get an idea of what each one is. So my exacta play, I am playing the 17. I'm going to play Fierceness over 4, 7, and 11. So those are the 3 horses I'm going to play in my exotic. So that will be over Catching Freedom, Honor Marie, and Forever Young. And then for my trifectas, I'm going to play the same combination, Fierceness over those 3 horses, over those 3 horses again. That's a $6 play for $1. Then I'm also going to, in a trifecta play, I'm going to play my exacta play of Fierceness over Catching Freedom, Honor Marie, and Forever Young, with my 2 superfecta plays, potentially getting up for a 3rd place finish. That's Sierra Leone or Just Steel in 3rd in the trifecta. And then I'm going to do a similar thing in the superfecta. I'm not a big superfecta player, honestly, but not playing the superfecta in the Derby is just an opportunity I can't pass up. This is a wager that typically for a 10-cent wager, if you get the right horses, can pay 5 figures for the Kentucky Derby. So I'm going to take a swing here. I put dollar increments on my wager just to give you an idea of what it costs. So again, Fierceness on top of my primary 3, on top of those same 3, and again over Sierra Leone and Just Steel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap those last 2 for 3rd and 4th, with my top play over my next 3, over my 2 superfecta plays, over my same second 3. So there you have it. If you were to play all of those, that would be about $45 for every dollar increment that you want to play. Those are my plays. That's the way I intend to absolutely attack the Kentucky Derby. That's exactly how I'm going to play it. I'm just putting it out there. There are a lot of ways you can go. There are other horses I know a lot of people are on. I looked at them. I thought about Resilience. I thought about the possibility of somebody like a Mystic Dan. I looked at horses like who was it? So I'm sorry. So but I looked at a lot of horses here, and these are the ones that I landed on. So who do you think? What are your plays? Let me know down in the comments who you think can be what your exacta, trifecta, and superfecta players are. This is the way I'm going to attack the race. So leave your comments. Make sure you like the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. Look at some of our premium plays there. We got a lot of content coming out. More videos over the next couple of days. It is Oaks Day by the time this video hits the streets. Everybody have a great Oaks Day. Have a wonderful Derby. Good luck to you with all your wagers. I hope that all your wagers are winning ones. And with that, we're just waiting that call. Riders up.